Thank you, Jim. Welcome, family. It's a beautiful church got built here. Thank you, Firm Foundation. Thank you, Hans. Thank you, Kat, for the worship. Um, my name is Lenny Williams, grateful recovering addict and alcoholic. Um, hey, Brooklyn, God bless you, girl. So I grew up with a relatively normal childhood. Lived with my mother and father, two younger brothers. Um, we didn't have money, but we had what we needed. Um, Times were normally tough, but we always had a roof over our head and food on the table. And as in any household, a lot of my friends growing up, I always played sports and was in scouts and stuff like that. And a lot of my friends, came from broken homes. So I always felt blessed to have both my parents, even if at times, typical arguing and fights, nothing physical, but arguing and fights and verbal abuse between those, mostly over funds getting tight and stuff like that. And being the oldest of three boys, I probably seen a little bit more than my older brother or younger brothers, or probably remember a little bit more. But I remember being a kid as early as maybe like 4 or 5, 6 years old starting, and being in my room and just hiding and crying, thinking that the family was going to be torn apart. So that, looking back on it now, from that early age, I started to suppress my feelings and not talk about things. I grew up in a Catholic household, went to church on Sunday, went to what we called CCD on Monday nights, which was like Sunday school on Mondays. And, it was kind of like everything's good, give the thumbs up, and we don't talk about our problems, we keep them within the house. So as I got older, playing sports, having friends in the neighborhood. Zach was one of my friends, as we did innocent things, childhood things before we grew up and started running with the sins of this world, But I was always involved with sports, baseball, soccer, wrestling, also with scouts. And then when I was 15, I was starting high school. It's not really cool to be a Boy Scout anymore, you know what I mean? So I got my Eagle Scout and I finished that, but I always liked to be a part of something. And a few of my other friends from the neighborhood were joining the firehouse, and it wasn't in my neighborhood. It was a neighborhood a couple miles away that served my neighborhood. And I guess you could say the path to hell is paved in good intentions. I joined the firehouse with the intentions of serving my community. And what I found was a place and an excuse that I could hide and tell my parents I'm at the firehouse. And older gentleman at the firehouse that I was introduced to marijuana and drinking. And I found an escape from all those feelings I was keeping in. I found that when I drank, I became more open, you know what I mean? I could talk to girls if I was drinking. It gave me a little bit of liquid courage, they would say, I guess, you know what I mean? So although I used it as an excuse, hey, when you're younger, you tell one friend's parents you're staying here, the other one does the same thing, you stay out all night. We also had the firehouse. We could say we were going to fire school the next day, and we wouldn't have to go home. And then, lo and behold, the firehouse also didn't mind if we smoked and drank as long as we showed up for fire school the next morning. So I had that out to, I didn't have to go home, so I could smoke and drink, and my parents weren't going to catch me. I also started to date a girl that was also in the firehouse and from that neighborhood, and she drank and smoked like I did. When I went down to convention in 1997 as a junior firefighter, although they let me smoke and drink, I didn't drink and smoke like other people, apparently, because I took all the liquor out of the hospitality room one night and hid it in my room. And then when I wasn't behaving right and they took me back to my room because they were responsible for me, I was only 17, they found all the alcohol hidden in my tub and they kicked me out of the firehouse until I was 18. But by then I had new friends, I had a girlfriend, I was ripping and running, and I never went back to the firehouse. I turned like 19 years old, and everything was always somebody else's problem. It was their fault. I wouldn't take accountability. So I decided that the girlfriend had to go. she was the reason I was drinking and drugging, not me. And I met a young lady at a party at my buddy's house, and she was cute, and she wasn't from my area, and she didn't drink and smoke like I did. So I started to date her, and 8 months later, I'm buying a house. And that probably wasn't the best idea, because after we bought the house, I stopped hanging out with my friends because everything's their problem. But I'm coming home, and I don't get along that well with her, so I go and hang out and fish and drink by myself. And that's not a good place to be either. So, after a year and a half, I move out, and I move back to my parents, and I'm in my early 20s, and I start hanging out with my old friends again. And now we're going to the bars every night, and we got what you need, you know what I mean? And everything's gravy, I drank and drugged for 25 years. And, homelessness, jail, none of that's a part of my story. And that was my pride and my ego keeping me out there for a long time. I don't think I've ever held a microphone except for when the judge told me to step up to it. And whenever I got in trouble, I could appease the courts. I'll go to PACE for a little while, get the case off my back, go to Brandywine Counseling, do a few weeks, whatever I had to do to not be convicted of a charge. So, going to the courthouse over 5 different cases over many years and not being convicted, that just kept feeding my pride and my ego that I was a good functioning alcoholic. I always knew that I didn't drink like other people and I didn't drug like other people. But I thought I was a professional drinker and drugger because I could, all my buddies were getting locked up and I could stay out of jail. I could keep a job. So the first 15 years was fun. The last 10 years was not. And in October of 2023, I quit doing narcotics in April 2022. And then the drinking started getting worse every day. And by October of 2023, I couldn't even make it to work no more. And that was the only purpose I had in my life, the only place I felt worthwhile. So I was crushed to my knees. I couldn't make it to work without going through withdrawal. I didn't want to go to work drunk. So I didn't make it to work for 3 days. On the second day, I went to the urgent care across from Christiana Hospital and told the lady I was going to quit drinking on my own. I Googled it. You can do it in I'm sorry, I cannot, I'm an alcoholic. I can't quit drinking on my own. But Google said if you can cut 10% out every 4 days, in 40 days you can stop drinking. So I go to the urgent care. I tell this lady that I'm going to quit drinking. I just need some Xanax for my nerves. She said, "Sir, look at you. You're shaking. You need to go across the street to the hospital." Well, I had been to the hospital a few years back because I was managing my life so well. My family decided to help me make my life unmanageable, and I was on a drug that it wasn't easy to drive me crazy. I would let you. So I had a resentment against Christiana Hospital because, again, it's not my fault. So I was committed at one point. But anyhow, so the next day after that, couldn't make it to work again, crushed to my knees, tears in my eyes. I went to my mother and my father, and I literally got up off the floor. I put my hands in the air, and I said, "Take me anywhere to get help. I cannot do it on my own. I need medical assistance." So they tried to take me to Kirkwood Detox. My numbers were too high to get in the building. So they took me to, I put my hands right back in the air walking out of Kirkwood. I said, "I'm not going home, because I'll be back at the liquor store." So they take me to Wilmington Hospital. They leave me there for the evening. The next morning, they give me a ride to Meadowood, spend 7 days there while I was in Meadowood. My brother was calling places and found a treatment center up in PA, Mearmont, and went there for 28 days. And when I came home, I went to Alcoholics Anonymous right away. And it was working. I came home, I started cleaning my room, I find liquor, I throw it right away. I found some marijuana pens. I said, maybe in a year and a half, maybe when I'm done the steps. Maybe in 4 days, I'll be coming home from AA thinking I'm doing a good job, and I'll be smoking, you know what I mean? And on Thanksgiving of 2023, which was November 23rd, I was in a meeting, and I heard this lady share her story about how her home group thought she had a year sober, and they didn't know she had a medical card. And right after her share, I got honest right in that meeting. I had my first sponsor sitting next to me, and he's looking at me crazy. I'm like, what, dude? I just met you like 4 days ago. Like, I'm getting honest now, you know what I mean? But right there, it showed me the power of sharing your experience, strength, and hope. If I wasn't in that meeting, I'd probably be out drinking again, you know what I mean? So November 24th, 2023 is my sobriety date. And all glory to God. It's only by his grace. And I grew up with Zach. I've run into him in meetings and all. And I went to the Firm Foundation dinner last year with my brother and his fiance, who have been going the past few years. I wasn't in service yet. I wasn't linked up with Zach. He would talk to me at meetings beforehand, like when I was in AA, but I never, you know what I mean? I wasn't that committed. So I went to the dinner, and I stayed after the dinner, and I started to help tear down. I said, Zach, I need your number again. I don't know what happened to that card you gave me, but I just got honest in the meeting, and I'm trying to stay sober. So he gives me the number. He has my number. I have his, and he texts me and sends me over to Strength and Recovery Home Group at Reach Church First, and I got a chance to meet my current sponsor. My first sponsor, I did my 4th step and then shared my 5th step with him, and after having a little bit over a year sober, he went back out. But I know how important sponsorship is, so I went to sleep one night without a sponsor. I asked somebody in a meeting, and they said we might not see eye to eye on the 3rd step because, you know, he knows who my Lord and Savior is, and that's Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? So I was happy for his honesty, and the next night at group, I found a sponsor. But I started to get into service. I thought you had to have time to be able to help people. So my first speaker jam was here a year ago, and I stood at the table, I scanned people in while they came in, and I took trash out all night, and I got to watch the last speaker. I didn't have to do any of that. I chose to do that. I like to be part of a group, part of a community. I also did a commitment. I got to go back to Kirkwood Detox. They wouldn't let me in when I was drinking, but they let me in to go back in and carry the message, you know what I mean? And it was powerful, you know what I mean? Go into meetings, and I run into people, and they're like, hey, you came into Kirkwood, you talk to us. And then you get to see them celebrate anniversaries. It's a great thing, you know. We recover together. So I lived by the Delaware Bridge, and back when I was drinking towards the end, I would back in my driveway after I drank 1 pint, because now I'm too drunk to drive, although I've already been too drunk after the first sip probably. And I would stare at the Delaware Bridge and think about jumping off of it. And now, like a month and a half, 2 months ago, I got a call for a 12-step. I picked a complete stranger up from Wilmington Hospital, and I didn't know this guy from Adam, you know what I mean? And he wanted help, and I took him to Kirkwood Detox, and they wouldn't take him because he was from out of state. And they said best thing to do is take him across the bridge to a hospital. And in the meantime, I did that, but I made some phone calls, and I thought I could do a little bit better than just drop him off at the hospital. The man wanted to go to detox or treatment. So we go over the bridge, and now, like a year and a half ago, I want to jump off this bridge. I'm hopeless. I'm desperate. I have no purpose in my life. And now I just got to pick up a complete stranger, drive him over that bridge, tell him where I was, 14, 15 months ago, however long it had been. Pull up to the hospital. He gets a call back, and he found a place to get into. And he said, they're going to send you the text message. And I was hoping it was like 45 minutes away, but it wasn't. It was an hour and 45 minutes away. And I could have just left him at that hospital. I had a good friend with me, and my purpose was to get the man into a treatment facility, not a hospital. I want to go home tonight and know that he was safe. And again, all glory to God. I don't like talking too much about service work, but that's what this is about, is sharing the message of what service does for me and the things God is doing in my life, because it is only by the grace of God that I'm standing up here. It's only by the grace of God I didn't jump off that bridge. And it's only by the grace of God that we've recovered together. And I just feel so blessed. Like, I don't have to do things. I get to do them. I have purpose in my life. I have family around me. And when I say family, I have a loving family at home. But I feel more comfortable with you guys. I feel more comfortable at Strength and Recovery. I feel more comfortable in a 12-step meeting. There are people like me, you know what I mean? And I can't explain. You know, they say sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God. And for me, that's also worship music. I love me some worship music. After I went to Strength and Recovery, I started to attend the journey, and I heard, I trust in God. And when they said, I sought the Lord, he heard and he answered. After like a month or two of being sober, it finally clicked to me. That's what happened. Like, so yeah, like I love worship music. And now like I can listen to worship music and I'll be so full with gratitude and his grace that tears will just come down my eyes. And last Saturday, we were going to pick that fella up, and I took in New Jersey. He's in a recovery house now. And we went to a testimony and worship last Saturday in Seaford. And another one of my buddies was with me in the car, and we're listening to worship music, and he says, man, he said, it makes you feel so good. I can't explain it to somebody, but I don't have to explain it to you. I said, I know, it's crazy. I was just listening, singing in the car by myself, and tears running down my eyes, and I don't care if the people next to me think I'm crazy, because I know I am. But I use it for good today. And thank you guys for helping to keep me sober today. God bless. And I don't always feel better, but I'm getting better at feeling.